Hello YouTube, vintage stereo collectors. Here's one that I just finished restoring. It's a Kenwood KA-2002. This one right here, there's a 2002 that has the preamp in and out jacks and another one that doesn't have them. There's actually, I've seen 3 different combinations of knobs and faceplate variations. I know there's only shown as 2 in most literature, but I've seen a 3rd one. Some of them have the wood sides, some of them don't, depending on the year. This one here, it was an eBay listing. It was shown as part of a large estate, and got it really cheap. I mean, the opening bid was $40. Nobody bid against me. It was listed as dead. The reason it was dead is the back of the fuse holder was gone. Sometimes they get knocked off. I have quite a few, so I was able, and I didn't use a variac or anything like that. That's a ridiculous waste of time. Put in a fuse, turned it on, it actually worked. Very noisy controls. I'll tell you why the variac is a waste of time. If there are weak or marginal components, you don't want to baby them. You want to replace them. So if there's weak filter caps or the output transistors, whatever, when you turn it on and if it blows a transistor, then you put 4 new outputs in. This takes very generic parts. You can use like a tip 31C for the 4 output transistors. Anyway, this one was pretty dirty. The case had some scrapes right across it, like something had been dragged across it. So I sanded it, cleaned it, repainted it. It's a little bit darker than the original, but it looks great. Faceplate was nicotined. Used lighter fluid to clean that off, and a little bit of Silvo. Came up beautifully. There's one tiny little scuff here. Something caught it, but it looks nice. The 2 plastic end caps, they were missing. Often the glue dried on, they fell out, so I actually reproduced them just out of some plastic, black plastic, cut them, glued them, put them in so it matches. Did a complete restoration electronically. These are a nice sounding amp, not high powered amp, only about 20 watts per channel. Sprayed and cleaned all the controls. All the electrolytic capacitors are changed. They had the Elna caps in it, which dry out. And as I pulled them off the main board, there are quite a few leakers. You can see that they had discharged, and it wasn't glue, it was leakage. A couple of the bigger ones were glued down. Take those off. I cleaned the board, the main circuit board, which was pretty dusty and gummy. I actually cleaned it with Q-tips and lighter fluid. Comes out very nice. So all the caps done, main filter cap is redone. The output transistors were in good shape on this one, the original Toshiba ones, and put it together. Sounded great. I noticed the bias on it. There's 2 bias pots in the main board. They're right about here. On the left channel, I couldn't even get it close to where it's supposed to be. You measure it, you put a multimeter on one of the emitter resistors. You should see about 14 millivolts. That will give you 20 milliwatts. Because there aren't fuse holders for that you can measure across for each channel, you have to do it that way. Couldn't adjust it. The carbon track was gone. So what I do with many is, if I can't adjust them right away, I put new pots in, and I use sealed ones, and you can get them pretty cheaply from electronic distributors. They're 500 ohm sealed potentiometers, and then you put that in, you put the meter on, let it warm up. Just a matter of very quickly setting it. This one stays right on bias, no problem. And I've been listening to it for a while now. Very nice sound from these. It's a warm sounding transistor amp. Sounds like 50 watts. It's only about 20, but it has lots of punch. In my living room here, I have never needed it past 3 out of 10. I've tried up as high as 6 and 7 out of 10, still clean, loud, great bass, capacitor coupled output design. And so it's turned on. This one does have the preamp switch, so you can actually turn the open. There's a little cover you take off and you can move the switch. You can use a preamp from this and a bigger power amp, or you can use it the other way around. You can use another preamp and use the power amp. I actually tried it out with a monoblock stereo tube amp. Worked really nice, matched up, but it sounds good on its own. You know what's so good about these? This is my final word on them. They're all transistor. No integrated circuits, no packaged electronics of any kind, no microprocessor. It's a straight transistor amplifier, stage to stage, and then it has that capacitor coupled output stage, the quasi-complementary, which I've talked about in other videos. It was actually an engineering compromise that made these sound like a tube amp. And it's funny, I've sold quite a few of these, restoring quite a few, I would say 10 or 11 in the last 2 years of this particular model. They keep popping up. And the people that buy them know what they want, and they say there's something about this series of Kenwoods. They just sound great. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening.